Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on September 8th, 2021 at approximately 2 p.m. Well, things are getting, shall we say, complicatedly interesting. The thing you got to remember when you're changing your life is life itself does not always cooperate. Okay, this said, the number of projects I've got on the go are still on track. Okay. But the way that society is going, there are complications that are going to show up for a lot of people. Now, the thing we have to get straight, and this is the whole reason I came back to give this message, and the message is very simple. Working together, we can make this a better world. But every single person in existence, okay, every single entity in existence is going to have to work together to make it happen. Now, it's up to you to do your part. Now, from my standpoint, it's real simple. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and remember to hit that little alert button to let you know when the newest one comes out, because I do try and get these out once a day. That's not going to change for me anytime soon. Okay, with that in mind, my next number of weeks are going to be, because of the way society is, I'm pulling the plug on getting out of the house much at all. That's personal choice. I was reclusive 10 years before everything went sideways anyway. So, you know, retracting from the world at large, aside from via video, if you've got questions, whether it's social or whether it's a personal thing, a business thing, issues with aliens, with abductions, that sort of thing, absolutely drop me a line in the comments below, or if you'd like a more private connection, drop me at one of the contact points below the video. Okay, I will do my best to get back to you. Okay, that being said, it is everybody is in exactly the same place. Okay, we are all right here, right now, and this is the only time in existence that anybody can get anything accomplished. Yes, I have my coffee. Very important. And fortunately, I've got more than my fair share of it. Whoop. Just want to get things organized here, so I should have done this beforehand, but what the heck. Okay, now with that in mind, okay, the real trick is get things straight in your own head what you're looking at. Now, for me, it's real simple because I will be able to take this entire office over the next few weeks, considering I won't likely be leaving the house much. Okay, I'll be able to get a lot of this stuff done and dealt with. Now, do understand this is a very, it is simply an issue from my standpoint of not being able to really functionally cope with the way the world is going, because it's not making sense to me anymore. Well, in all fairness, it's actually making a lot of sense. Problem is what I see coming, and no, I'm not getting into that right now, not on video. Okay, but what I see coming, let's just say people will figure it out in the next 5 or 10 years. But there's no point in giving the heads up. Okay, it's sad to say, too many people are taking a look at things and they're just going with the flow and they're just totally ignoring karmic law. Okay, now karmic law is pretty cut and dried, and these are the only 3 laws I pay attention to. Be true to yourself first. That one for me is a critical issue. If something feels wrong, okay, unless it is absolutely mandated by law, okay, then I'm absolutely not going that direction. And there's a reason for that. It has to do with being true to me. Okay, karmic law number 2 is do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And really what that means is you don't have to understand why everybody does what they do. Okay, one thing you do have to realize, or that would be wise to realize, is that you cannot control the way other people feel on the whole, all you can do is control your reaction to the way they feel. Okay, for me, it's real simple. I'm fully empathic. Not only do I pick up on what people are going through, but I pick up on what the planet itself is going through. Needless to say, this means I don't get a whole lot of relaxation time. So I'm hoping that by isolating myself from everything, aside from the video contact, which people are more than welcome to contact me, okay, the reality is I'm just me. So when you've got a goal in mind, for me it's real simple. Okay, I will be laying it out. I was supposed to lay it out piece by piece, but remember how I said I was a professional procrastinator? Well, unfortunately, that's very accurate. So what I have to do now is walk through it and really make sure I get what I have to get done sorted out. Okay, that being said, when I come back tomorrow, I will give you an update as to what I've got actually laid out and how well it's set to work. But I'll be pulling the thing apart tonight because of the way things have gone. The only way I can occupy things that I'm aware of is by altering the energy in my own home. Okay, because I'm certainly not set up to deal with the energy outside of my house. Therefore, I mean, I became reclusive 10 years earlier anyway. Okay, and things have just gotten to the point where I don't have a functional option. Okay, do I still see what's going on out there? Absolutely. So let's get back on track here, shall we? You've got an idea in your heart as something that you desire to accomplish. Okay. And that being said, okay, get focused on that and start altering the energy in your work area, in your primary work area or your primary living area, whichever one happens to hold the most value, the most dominant energy pattern. Get that straightened out first. Okay, by doing that, you'll find it easier to cope. Now, yes, I have said absolutely that I've been working on changing the energy in my own house, and that is working quite nicely. But is that helping me cope with the world outside for me personally? In all fairness, not really. However, I can tell you that for you, because of the fact that, I am, to say the least, a bit of a rare bird. So alter the energy in your own home and make sure you start focusing on what you've got some control over. Now, the only thing I've got real control over is how I deal with things. I may not deal with them in the way that most people think is a good thing, but I deal with them in the way that works for me. Many would call it avoidance, but so be it. So get the energy moving. Now, remember, where it comes to starting a brand new business, if you're in the process of striving to build your own business because you're not happy with the way you're being treated, you're not happy with the funds you're making, you're not content with the environment you're working in, okay, take the idea and work it out from the ground up. Now, personally, I recommend if you're looking at opening a business up, get a business name searched and registered because it will feel that much more, that much more realistic, that much more, if you will, physical with that physical professional. I'm not sure which word you want to use, but by getting that business name to start with and make sure it's a name that actually tells you what's going on. Like in my case, Inner Voice Enterprises focuses on psychic phenomenon, paraphernalia, readings, consulting, and writings. Okay. All of which come from in here. I am not a researcher, so I've done very little in the way of looking into things. I've had to do some checking into some stuff recently, which is one of the reasons why I pulled away from everybody. Okay, well, I shouldn't say everybody. There's a select few that I am still in contact with. But get things moving in the direction you desire. Okay, and stay focused on that. Now, there's this issue of you have an obligation to yourself that even if the whole world is telling you that that's the route you should go, if it feels wrong, you owe it to yourself to stand your ground and go, that's not the direction I'm going. Now remember, this does include the issue of sticking to karmic law. Okay, but it's absolutely imperative. You owe it to yourself to remain true to you, regardless of what the rest of the world says. Okay, however, where it becomes legally mandated that you have to do things, okay, you have to follow the laws of the land in which you are. Now, if it hasn't been legally mandated, then do what you will. Okay, following karmic law. Where it comes to your business, something to keep in mind where it comes to business, especially if you're just getting started. Okay, and that is that it takes time to get it up and running, but the only difference between you and one of the major business owners, whether they're a billionaire or a millionaire or they simply have $10,000. Okay, the only difference between them and you is they're already established and you presumably are not. You may be one of these people that has had a business going in a certain direction and you're just not content with the profitability of it, so you're looking at revamping. Now, personally, I have shown a lot of people how to revamp and redirect their own business in order to make it profitable. Okay. Now, my biggest holdup, personally, where it comes to my own business, is this. Money has never been a motivator for me. Probably should have been, probably would have been beneficial, but it hasn't been, and realistically still isn't. Okay. So, from that standpoint, make sure when you're laying your business out that you figure out what your overhead is, what it's going to take you to run that business. And remember, running a household is very similar to running a business. You still have to have it very well focused. Now, in a house, the two most common places in the house for people to use are the washroom and the kitchen. Okay, so get them tidied up, get them cleaned, that sort of thing. Then the thing that runs the house is your office. Wherever you handle your finances, that's where the fundamental backbone is. Okay, if you're not watching what your money is doing, you're not going to be able to run the household anyway. So you get started there. Then you turn and look at the business itself. What is not working in the direction you desire the business to go? In answer to your question, I keep hearing things outside my window, so I keep looking. Okay, pick the direction you desire that business to go, and remember, critical question for you. How big do you desire the business to go? In my case, I'm looking at global coverage. Okay, and with global coverage in mind, what has to happen is I laid out the business so that when I get to the size that I require other people to run certain departments, I've already laid out the tree for a corporation. Right now, I'm a sole proprietor. Okay, so it really boils down to deciding how big you desire things to go, and then move everything out of the way that you don't desire to have. Or, if you will, move everything out of the way, redirect the energy from anything that is not helping you attain the goals you've got. This is just the reality behind life. Okay. Now, once you've got that sorted out, or as you're getting that sorted out, remember, reorganizing the energy, you cannot destroy energy. You cannot make it go away. Okay. You simply alter its configuration, you change the direction it's going, but it's still energy. So it's absolutely imperative that you keep that in mind and get the energy flowing in the direction you desire. Okay. As you do that, you'll find things start to move a little more smoothly. Now, from my standpoint, it's pretty cut and dried. Okay, you get an idea in your head of where you'd like to go. And remember, If you think you're getting too old to start, the only time you're too old to start something is if you set it out that by the time I'm 25, I desire to have this up and running. If you're over 25 at this point, you're not going to make your goal by the time you're 25. But if the goal was simply, I desire to attain this, as long as you're not dead, it's still doable. Okay. And that is why, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to take this entire apartment, and especially starting with my office, and wipe out everything I don't require. Okay, it's just going to go away. But because of a change I've had to make in my life to accommodate what's going on outside the world, okay, it's going to leave me with a lot more time to work inside. I certainly won't be leaving the house much. I mean, yeah, I'll still go out and get my exercise. Okay, but the odds are I will develop a little bit better of an exercise routine at home. Okay, because by doing that, I'll still be able to maintain my own health. And for me personally, that's kind of important. The reality is I've just run out of medication that was prescribed to me. And yet, quite frankly, from what I found out by looking at the FDA, the same medication was recalled a year ago, like a year before it was prescribed to me. Now, for obvious reasons, with that piece of information, I'm not about to go and get a refill for it. I'm just not going to do it. Okay, which ought to impress a lot of people. But that said, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. And do understand where it comes to medication, where it comes to anything on that end, it's my personal outlook on it as far as what I'm doing with it. Okay, it's up to you to do your own research. Okay, and this applies to the same thing where it comes to your business. Talk to people that have successfully attained what they were aiming at with their business, that have successfully taken a business and made it work. Okay, by doing that, you'll find that things actually work a lot better for you. Okay, but you talk to the people that have successfully done it. So, if you desire to build a business that has a certain a certain pattern to it, talk to somebody that has run a business successfully. Do not take the time to talk to people. I mean, talk to people about what they're looking for. But where it comes to actual guidance on running a business, make sure you talk to people that have done it. Okay. Now, I'll be more than happy to help you point you in the right direction. If you've got a specific venue you're striving to go down, I may not have all the answers, but I will point you in as good a direction as I can get away with. Okay. The one thing I will absolutely guarantee, and it's the only thing I'll guarantee, is I will not lie to you to make you feel better. Okay, so if you're trying to contact me to get me to prove what I'm talking about, don't. Because I'm not about to put the energy into trying to prove it. Okay, this is why I say don't take my word for things. Do your own research. Okay, where it comes to business, get the idea on paper. The sooner you get it on paper in present tense, the better off you are, which is why I've got this neat little sign here that says I have legally attained a minimum of $2,000 by September 30th of 2021 at 1 minute to midnight. Now that said, I will target that and I will start moving forward with it. That 2,000, however, take a look at your own finances. Look at what it costs you to run your rent or your mortgage, doesn't matter, or your lease for that matter. Okay, inventory, and your utilities, transportation, office expenses, that sort of thing. Take a look at what it requires. Okay, that number is what goes into the spot where the 2,000 is listed. Get it worked out on paper so you can physically, if you choose to do so, You can actually take that piece of paper or that folder, hand it to somebody else, such as an investor, and go, here's the information I've got. Here's what I'm working with. Now, this is what I'm planning on doing. It will help you stay focused. Okay, one step at a time. Remember, it's easy to make that first step. Making the second step is usually reflexive, but the third step is the one that really becomes problematic because that's the one that says, I'm choosing to move forward. And then you just get a little bit more effective at it. Okay, doesn't matter what industry you're in. Now, again, when we talk about the marketing aspect of it, I'm no genius at marketing, but I will give you this. If you're looking at opening a business that there's a lot of competition in. Okay. I learned this from a restaurateur. He was actually a franchisee. And he opened a fast food restaurant on a corner where there were already 4 others. Right? And I asked him why he would choose to do that. So he looks at me and he goes, well, he says, think about it. Right now, I've got, most people with fast food at the time, they'd have $1,500, $2,000 for advertising purposes. He says, by putting it in amongst these other fast food restaurants that are all spending their advertising budget, okay, by doing that, he says, taken at the 2,000, I've got $8,000 in advertising budget drawing people to my home, to my business, into my area. Now I can spend $20, put a sign up on the wall, even if I get a real expensive one. It costs me $100 to put it up in the window, and I've got $8,000 in advertising for $100. And he says, economically, it makes total sense. Right, and then what he said was, the other thing I did was I took on that sign I put out there, I just put accepting competitor coupons. And the moment he said, the moment I did that, all of a sudden I was wall to wall with people, and I'd spend $150 on advertising. Right? He says, the rest of it I pocketed. It's something to keep in mind. Okay. But set your prices when you're looking at a business, especially in the service industry, set your prices at a price that you would personally be willing to pay. Okay. If you're not willing to pay that price, you're setting it too high. So take that and keep that in mind. And again, get everything on paper. Now, here's the other little aspect of that. If you're looking at opening up a partnership, going into business with somebody, no matter how close a friend they are, okay, put together a partnership agreement that not only lays out what your responsibilities are, and before I go further on that one, keep in mind, and I'm just going to use a restaurant for simplicity. Okay, anything that has a back operation and a customer service operation, this will apply to. Okay, absolutely have the profit and loss set up at 50-50. But where it comes to final decisions, make certain that one person has final say on the office running and one person has final say on the front end. The reason for that is because if you are 50-50, you may run into a stone wall. You may run into an impasse. If one of you has agreed upon this is the person that has final decision, okay, then it saves that hassle. Also, remember to take into consideration when it becomes successful. But how do you go about buying out of the partnership, and what do you get to take with you? What happens if one of the partners passes away? Okay, what happens to the other half of the business? Does it automatically go to the partner that's surviving, or does it go to the deceased partner's heirs? This is all stuff that's got to be looked at in order to successfully get the business running. And the reason for that is the better you plan things out, the more effective you're going to be. Now, there's an old saying that goes, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. And this is the biggest thing you got to keep in mind. If you're aiming for success, remember, you're the only person, you're the only entity in existence that can be successful for you. But absolutely talk to everybody that you desire to. Get their input. But remember, you're the one that has to make the final decision. You're the one that has to do the final work. Okay. By doing that, you'll set yourself up for success. Okay. Now, I've done videos before, and I'll be working out that side of it as well over the next couple of days here, because I've got a very definite pattern set up that I am planning on following, and especially with what I've just done. Okay, the commitment I made to myself is going to lock me away from the world for a well, I'm going to call it a very long time. I don't know. Okay, I just don't know the length of time. Okay, but there is no question. I'm holding myself up in my apartment. I won't be leaving very much because of the way the world has gone. I'm just not interested in dealing with it anymore. So I will figure out ways to get around it. Okay, it's just that simple. Now, that said, where it comes to running your business, make up your own mind. And remember, it's extremely important. Pick 2 days out of the week. Doesn't matter what two. Pick 2 days out of the week back to back that you're not opening your business, especially if you happen to have employees. Because I'll tell you, even if you go, I'm not going into work on these 2 days, if the business is open, you're going to be worried about whether or not it's running. You're still going to get caught in it. Okay. But again, these are just suggestions from what I've seen over the last 58 now, so 48 years of doing this. Okay, this is just the trends that I've personally seen, and these are simply the tools I personally still work with, the tools and the philosophies I use to get the energy in my world working properly. Now, with this in mind, I will be back again tomorrow. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with everybody available. Okay, with that in mind, I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.